The sun hung low, like a bruised orange over the Nigerian savannah, when General Okoro returned from the border. Strapped to his horse were the severed heads of the 3 warlords who had dared to threaten Omuero's peace. He was the village's iron shield, a man whose muscles looked like coiled pythons beneath his scarred, ebony skin. The drums began to throb, a rhythmic heartbeat that drew the villagers into the square. Women threw flower petals, men roared his name. Among the crowd stood his stunning wife, Ifeoma, and his sworn blood brother, Chidi. They were his anchors in a world of endless war. As Okoro dismounted, Ifeoma pressed her cool hands against his chest, her eyes shining with what looked like pride. He leaned in, whispering that the threats were finally gone. He had dismantled the external armies, ensuring their safety for a lifetime. But as he hugged Chidi, he felt a slight tremor in his brother's grip. He brushed it off as adrenaline, unaware that the real war was no longer at the borders. The enemies he had just slaughtered were merely pawns in a much more intimate, scandalous game being played within his own compound. The celebratory palm wine flowed like a river, but the sweetness hid a bitter aftertaste. Late that night, Okoro retreated to the shadows of the palm grove, seeking the quiet he had earned. Instead, he found a whispered conversation that shattered his peace. Behind the ancestral shrine, his loyal brother Chidi was locked in a heated embrace with Ifeoma. Their words were sharper than any raider's blade. They weren't just lovers, they were architects of his ruin. Ifeoma complained that the external warlords had failed to kill him as planned. Chidi promised her that the poison intended for Okoro's morning meal would finish what the swords could not. They laughed, mocking the great lion who was too blinded by love to smell the stench of treason in his own home. Okoro felt a coldness settle in his marrow, a frost that replaced his warrior's heat. He realized his entire life was a stage, and he had been the only one not reading the script. Envy had rotted Chidi's heart, and greed for the general's titles had consumed Ifeoma's soul. He didn't roar. He didn't strike. He simply vanished back into the darkness, planning a final, devastating campaign. The dawn broke with a deceptive calm, the air heavy with the scent of wood smoke and roasting yam. Okoro entered the central hut, his face a mask of granite, watching Ifeoma's steady hand as she stirred the poisoned pottage. She served him with a smile so radiant it could have tricked the gods, while Chidi sat across from them, feigning a brotherly hangover. Okoro did not eat. Instead, he reached into his tunic and produced 2 small, intricately carved ivory charms, gifts he claimed were blessed by the high priest for their unwavering loyalty. He insisted they drink a ceremonial toast of aged gin from a single silver chalice to seal their bond forever. With trembling hands, the lovers drank, terrified that refusal would betray their guilt. As the last drop vanished, Okoro's expression shifted from warmth to a terrifying, hollow grin. He revealed that he had swapped the jars. The poison Ifeoma prepared for his breakfast was now coursing through their veins via the gin. He watched, unmoved, as the light of life began to flicker in their panicked eyes. The lion sat back, silent and lethal, as the 2 people he loved most began to choke on their own treachery. The poison acted with a cruel, rhythmic precision. Chidi slumped fast, his fingers clawing at the dirt floor of the hut, trying to reach for the brother he had so casually betrayed. Ifeoma followed, her beautiful face contorted into a mask of silent agony as she stared at the man she had underestimated. Okoro watched until their heartbeats surrendered to the silence of the room. He didn't feel the rush of victory he had felt on the battlefield. Instead, he felt a void so vast it threatened to swallow the village whole. He had achieved his goal, every enemy, external and internal, was now dead. He walked out into the village square, where the morning sun was now blindingly bright. The villagers cheered for their hero, unaware that the bodies of his wife and brother lay cooling in the shadows behind him. He looked at the cheering crowd and realized that to remain the great warrior, he had to become a monster. He set fire to his own compound, claiming a tragic accident had taken his family while he was away at the stream. He stood amidst the smoke, the undisputed king of a graveyard, forever haunted by the love he had to murder to survive.